starts with? No, okay. Help her out, daughter. Stamp of the right foot. Excellent. Right. Ladies and gentlemen. Start your clapping. Ladies and gentlemen, for your entertainment and pleasure, please welcome to the stage the magnificent Iris!
I think we're going to address the one person in the room right off the bat who turned up in uniform. What's your name, young fella? What's your name, young fella?
Kenny.
Kenny, I need you to do me a favour. I did a gig with the army. Who was in the army? And one of them heckled me, and he said, "Shut the fuck up, you ginger." Panicked because his boss was sat beside him, and he just went, "See you next Tuesday." Now we all know what he wanted to say, Kenny, so give me it. Call me it. Say the right thing now. Be the sailor I know you to be. That is music to my ears. Kenny, what rank are you in this fraternity of men and women?
PO.
So this guy here is a warrant officer. I met him earlier. If you called him a cunt, how much trouble would you be in?
A lot.
A lot. Just gonna. There's the lady card right there. Oh dear, oh fucking dear. Kenny, if only I knew someone in this room that happens to be a master at arms. Hey, am I alright? You'd be fucked. Especially if I outrank you even more than he does. Which I definitely do. I like Emma. Emma and I go way back. Emma and I were chiefs together down in Culdrose. Emma once said to me as the VP of the mess, "Don't find me just because I'm a reggie." And I was like, I wouldn't do that. That's a bit shit. But if most people in this room know what a reggie's uniform looks like, don't they? So what I actually find her for? Find her for wearing a watch that didn't tell the fucking time. Kenny, you'll be happy to know at the end of that night, she also called me a cunt. Now the question on the lips of the people who are sat in the front row is Irish. What the fuck are you wearing on your feet? So for those that you can't see, I'm going to show you. Check those bad boys out. So after 18 years of service, I decided to go to the dark side, go to Dartmouth and become an officer. And I am a chief from a council estate in Belfast. And my wife thought, these bad boys. These are the gift for you. Fucking brilliant. She once had the audacity to say to me, "You should wear them when you're at home. Show people how well you're doing." Now, these are not a kneecapping offence, no? But I guarantee you they would be removed from my feet and someone would beat the shit out of me with them. And I call that lady Mum. Honest to God, when I got given these, I had to pull the face, you know the face that your partner's giving you a nice gift face, but you secretly think it's fucking wank. I was doing that, oh God, I was like, how much were they? And she was like, 600 quid. I was so fucking angry, I missed the bit where she said, her shoe. I'm not gonna lie, I've only ever seen these sorts of fucking shoes on like high-end women in like porn movies. And just so we're clear, the reason they're so expensive, the ladies will know this better than the men. These are genuine Louboutins. The irony that the most expensive fucking thing I own is effectively a pair of MILF slippers. One of my mates said to me, "I didn't know Louboutins did shoes for men." They fucking don't. But yeah, I joined the Navy 27 years ago. Someone in here is gonna fucking sprawl me off, I know it. Several of you have, yeah, fuck you. Yeah, alright, sprawl. I'll take it, I'll fucking take it. But yeah, 27 years ago, take a train down to Raleigh, and you get there, when you were an Irish person, or I guess a person from anywhere in the world, and you arrive at Raleigh, it is amazing to me how every other fucker knows so much more about you, despite the fact they've never been to your country. Like, I didn't know that we were all raging alcoholics. I also didn't know we were the thickest people in the UK. That was news to me. I didn't know we were all called Paddy. I joined the Navy with a guy whose name is actually Paddy. His experience was different. I would phone home and explain my woes. He thought he was fucking famous. Nuts. But yeah, I've got 3 kids, and as an Irish person, I keep getting in trouble. For example, I'm not allowed to teach any of them how to read. It turns out English people have a bit of a how now, brown cow. How now, brown cow? Doesn't fucking translate, so I'm not allowed to do that anymore. So I keep getting in trouble. I get phone calls from the school. I've recently got a phone call from the school because of a joke that my son made. Now, I'm not a dark humour person, so I have to prepare you mentally for this. Are you happy for a little dark joke? Right. So he's doing his homework. It's a Saturday night. I'm having a drink. I'm fucking Irish, obviously I'm having a drink. And he was talking about World War II. I said a joke, he went to school. He then repeated that joke in response to a question from his teacher. I had a 35 fucking minute phone call about this, and the joke went like this. Caelan, what do you think to the Anne Frank story? Well, miss, it's a shame her parents weren't the McCanns. Because that way, the Nazis would never have found her. 35 fucking minutes. 2 days later, I get another phone call because I was doing the Saturday night thing. I was having a beer. You know, when you ring home when you're having the conversation with your mate, and I thought I was doing it in code because everyone knows when your accent goes dead strong. And my kids are English. They've never been to Northern Ireland. They can't understand what I'm saying. It turns out my kids have deciphered the code because my son explained to all of his mates what a wank bank is. Now, there are young people over on this side. I'm going to drift over here, because every fucker over here is old enough to have laughed at that. Who's the attractive punk? You're the army girl. So what a wank bank is, right? Back before we had magazines and phones, you could just get porn out. You know, when Margaret was doing her thing. And she was out there being a wren, running away. What you would have to do is you had to look at attractive, there was 2 attractive girls. You are both going to be in this is going to be glorious. Oh, it's the one dressed like a man. We've hit a trifecta. So what you would have to do, you'd have to look at 3 attractive women, and you would take a little picture. You go, click. You 3 are in the wank bank now. By midnight tonight, the 3 of you are going to have a little funny flutter. You just know that's me cracking one eye over you. That is my gift to you. So I have, the worst thing is, because I'm in the Navy, you know I'm actually going to do that. And the most awkward part about all of this is my wife is stood at the back of this room. Hi, babe. No, I do have 3 kids. My eldest one is autistic. She doesn't think that anything I say, do, or breathe is in any way humorous. I have sat her down watching videos of me doing this. She has laughed along with the audience who are laughing at the jokes that I say. She stands up and like an expectant dickhead, I'm stood there going, well, Orla, well, and she just goes, no, and walks out the fucking room. My son, aforementioned weirdo who keeps getting me in trouble, says the weirdest shit I've ever heard. The other day, he says to me, hey dad, because I'm like, hey fucking Google. So my kid's, hey dad, hey mom, hey Google. If you watch the movie Jaws in reverse, it's basically a story about a kindly shark giving disabled people their limbs back. I've been in the Navy 27 years, I have no idea how to deal with that information. I've met Reggies that weren't that thick. Sorry, Emma, had to. But my favourite child, and you are allowed a favourite. Who has multiple children in here? Yeah? Who said that? You've got more than one. Which one's your favourite? Just see, you are allowed a favourite person. I've only been on stage, 10 minutes? I already have a favourite person in this room. Those 3. Now, my youngest is my favourite. She's my favourite for a multitude of reasons. Because she is fucking hilarious, is the main one. So I picked her up from school the other day. We're walking down the street and she goes, hey Dad, it's my favourite lamppost right there. She's 10 years old. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I turned around and somebody drawn a big willy on the side of it. Okay, fair enough. To put this kid in context, the Irish people are like, well, you'll all like this. Put her in context. When she was 5 years old, I get sent to the school for a PTA thing. So I rock up at the school. Mr. McMahon, I'm Saoirse's dad. If if you're trying to figure out if I'm left or right footed, I think you figured out by the names of my kids. Very much a Catholic. I'm Saoirse's dad. I was like, which classroom is she in? And the teacher went, oh, T3's dad, classroom down the end. And I was like, T3? And she looked embarrassed as fuck, because it turns out that that's my daughter's nickname. Now the reason is this, in Northern Ireland there's a thing that we do, and it's we insult. And again, Saturday Night Beer is responsible for all the bullshit that I get phone calls from the school about. I did this thing in front of her, and then they did one of those assemblies. So it's like this, she stood on stage, she's 5 years old, English accent, blonde as fuck, and she goes, I'm going to do an impersonation of my dad. And she goes, your ma's your dad. Your dad's your dog. Your dog's fucking dead. And I was like, well, I'm embarrassed about that, but what does T3 stand for? Teeny, tiny, terrorist. So me and her mum, we disagree on things. Recently we have disagreed on TikTok. We're like, don't think it's time yet, she's only 10. Her mum's opinion. I think I'm right about fucking everything because I make decisions for a living. So I disagreed. Her mum went to the shop. I downloaded the TikTok. I gave her the TikTok. I have never been so fucking wrong, so fucking fast in all of my life. And the reason was this. 5 minutes of watching this TikTok, she comes up to me and she goes, hey dad, use the box. Shows how to throw a punch. We spent 10 seconds doing that. She went, got it, high five. Go to high five her, she slips the high five, punches me straight in the balls. I work from home, so I was cross-legged. It was like a little ball sandwich, one ball into the other end of the chair. I'm pretty sure it ruptured something. And fellas, we all know. I don't know what it is about biology, but your bollocks are directly connected to your lungs, because when you get a good nut shot, you stop being able to breathe. I crawled down to the head, just sat there. You don't want anything touching anything. So when you sit down, you're a bit like this bad boy. You know, they're just swinging in the breeze. You looked at my balls. You dirty bitch. What you do? You just swing in the breeze. And every now and again, you just have a little feel. Oh God, they're still there. They're still here. They're 20 minutes go by and I feel I can get up now. And I'm walking down the, I was nearly going to say passageway then. I was walking down the corridor to my living room, and all I hear is, hey Mum, high five. And I tried to run, it was too soon. I didn't make it in time. And it turns out that hurts you women too. Because when I get in the living room, my wife had taken a shot right in the mummy dummy button. So she was on the ground in the fetal position, wondering what choices she made with her life. But my 10-year-old daughter very quickly figured out punching squishy balls and a funny bone is not the same thing. 15 minutes later, we're stood in Gosport War Memorial, and I have 4 nurses looking at me going, so Mr. McMahon, how did your daughter hurt her wrist? I practiced in the car, I was like, she fell off her back. But out loud in a room full of people, I went, she punched her mum in the fanny. You laughed. They did not. I got PTSD from this, 4 people, 4 angry women nurses looking at me, because when that kid was born, she was number 3. And at that point, if you haven't had kids, it's like a slip and slide. You know, it doesn't take quite as long. The baby comes out, whee, you know, for the woman, it's dead easy. For me, 3rd time round, I'm relaxed. So I made a joke. It's all about the woman, innit? They looked at me and they were like, Mr. McMahon, your wife has just had a baby. To which I responded, because I think I'm funny, well yeah, but if you had a nice meal at a restaurant, you wouldn't thank the oven. Yeah, that went about as well as it sounded there. But there was a 5th nurse, because there was a bit of tearing, and there was a privacy blanket over my wife's knees, and this little head just popped out. She looked at my wife, she went, when I'm finished doing these lips, do you want me to do his? So we're back in the room. At this point, we're talking to the nurses, and Murray says to me, I'm starting to feel a bit uncomfortable. It was quite a good shot. So I'm going to go in with Saoirse, and we'll get checked out together. And she comes out, and she said, I've got some bad news for you. No sex for 3 months. And I was like, cool, I'm in the Navy. I've not had sex for 3 months before. But I was internally fucking furious. I've been banging that fanny for 15 years, not so much the fucking bruise. I've gone at that thing like an angry woodpecker. Nothing. That was the day I found out I had less punching power than a 10-year-old girl. I've recently been, Emma and I were in Northern Ireland over the weekend for a wedding, and a weird thing happened. I drove over to see my brother, and we all know the accent thing. I talked about it at the start, where when you talk to people from your area, your accent comes on dead strong. You think it's like a super cool because nobody can understand you. And I didn't think about that shit the other way around. I'm an officer now. You're fucked. And as I step through the door of my brother's house in a council estate in Belfast, I get a phone call. I take that phone call and immediately turn into a dickhead. Because I start going, well, that's quite nefarious, but we'll have to talk about it on Monday. You know, the posh accent comes out and all this kind of stuff. And my brother goes from stages, I didn't really notice it, but stages of anger. So when I come off the phone, he's staring at me and he goes, when did I get a posh prick for a brother? And I was like, that doesn't even sound like me. So I said to my wife, you tell him I'm not a posh prick. And her response was, ask him what he had for breakfast. I had a poached egg, some smashed avocado, some shavings of smoked ham. And he just looked me straight in the eye and went, what a cunt, and walked out the room. My dad was there, he didn't say anything, just stood up, followed him out. And I sat down in my brother's chair. I was like, I'm not a posh prick, I'm from around here. And I looked down, and all I could see were these fucking shoes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm an Irish.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear for Irish. What a guy.